Oh, let me share my screen. All right, today we're going to go over different techniques on how to market your listings. Um, there's lots of different ways. This is going to walk you through a step-by-step guide. It's on the listing checklist also, but you know, a lot of agents get in the industry and they don't really know how to market a listing. They get a listing, they're like, okay, what do I do? And they just kind of wing it. And there's some really cool things on the listing checklist that we have that'll help walk you through that. But I'm going to show you lots of examples for that. So here's a quick blueprint, right? When you talk to your sellers, make sure to start with you set expectations. Everybody thinks that marketing is all about just putting it out to the public. Well, you got to make sure that you're having communications with your sellers because they're the ones that need to be happy. You know, you're marketing to get business and to sell their home, but mainly you want to get leads. So if you have the right strategy and the right presence, you'll get leads. So when you talk with your seller, though, you don't want them to be upset or mad because their house isn't selling, because the goal is to get the house sold. So make sure when you first meet with them that you set expectations, right? You talk to them about days on the market, you talk to them about absorption rates, pricing conversations, have all that up front. That's going to help you for later on when it comes time to make any type of price changes, especially those that want to set price higher. When you put things in the MLS, always make sure you use professional photos, right? You want to make sure that you have lots of information, public remarks, and then you want to make sure the photo order is a certain way. We're going to talk about that. Any documents you have for the property, you want to make sure that you put in the MLS because like seller's disclosure, covenants, things like that, you need to get all those in the MLS. Obviously, put a sign out in front. Lockbox, we're going to talk about which type. I always use central lock because I want to track, but we'll talk about that. We're getting back to where homes are sitting on the market a little longer. So make sure I would put flyers out. If you reach out to your alpha partner, a lot of times they have flyer boxes and they'll create flyers for you to put in those boxes. So it helps save you money, right? There's a lot of ways to market your property without spending a lot of money. And we're going to talk about a lot of that. Make sure in like agent comments and things like that that you have notes in there about maybe different features and you have those in public comments. Seller communication, give them regular updates, set them up on automated reports, use Social Bay for that. I'm going to show you how to do that. For public marketing, if you make sure you have things set up on your profile the right way so everything syndicates out and syndicates out under you. If you do social media posts, this is a great way to brand yourself and to build your presence. And then we're going to talk about a staged activity schedule, which is different things that you can do at different times that the property is on the market. Some agents, as soon as it goes on the market, they throw everything out there, which is fine. But after a week, you've got to keep doing things. You can't just throw all your marketing out at one time and not continue to do things. You have to continue, and we're going to talk about that. And part of that is to evaluate what's going on weekly. What kind of showings do we have? What kind of online activity are we getting? Has the market changed any? Do we need to adjust our pricing strategy? We need to look at all that. And I'm going to show you how to do all that. So first thing, MLS checklist. Always, always, always use professional photos, right? Don't take them from your phone. We are past that in times when it comes to marketing. And if you start doing things like Zillow Showcase, you're going to have to use a professional to upload them. So make sure that you always, always use professional photos. There's several photographers. Seacoast has its own photography department, and there's several others out there. If you need suggestions, please reach out. We can help you with that. Write a good public remarks. Don't just put in 3 bed, 2 bath, close to base, biggie backyard, right? Do more than that. If you don't understand how to write that, use Instance, right? In Coldwell Baker, Seacoast Tools. If you come into Seacoast Tools and you come down to Instance and you click on Instance, there is a listing description here. You click that, you fill this form out. All you do is answer some questions. and then it's going to spit out a listing description for you. Now you have to edit that. Anytime you use AI, you need to think about fair housing because it doesn't care about fair housing. So make sure you look at all that, but at least it gives you a better starting point versus just 3-bed, 2-bath with a big backyard. Agent comments, if it's in a flood zone, right? Make sure you put that in public comments and agent comments. If it's an agent that's selling it, licensed owner, make sure you put that. In agent comments, I would always put, thank you for showing, please provide feedback. You work with agents throughout your career, so you want to make sure that you've got good relationships with them. So I'm always trying to be polite and courteous and all that good stuff, just to make sure that I want them to sell my properties. I want them to know that it's going to be a good transaction. If anybody doesn't know you and you put in there, please provide feedback or something, you're setting the tone. At least that, hey, I want something back, so that when you call them to follow up to get feedback, well, then they're expecting it. Arrange your photos before go active. We're really gonna look at that. The first 5 to 6, they're your online flyer, right? They're the ones that people see first. So when everybody thinks about marketing, they think about all the print, like magazines, flyers, everything else. Folks, the majority of the marketing you do is online, right? It's everything that syndicates out and is online. And what I mean by syndicate is when you put it in the MLS, it electronically transfers to other websites throughout the internet. Zillow, Realtor.com, those are some of the tops. Trulia, Homes.com, those are some others, but there's a ton of others that you don't even know anything about that people see the home at. And you want to have that online presence. I'm going to show you some examples of what that looks like for the first 5 or 6 and why it's a big difference. Upload all the documents again, disclosures, plat maps, covenants, septic permit, flood map, all that should be in documents. Every time we talk about listings, we talk about you do all the work on the front end, and it's because you do all this research on the front end, and then you put it in the MLS because you want it to make it easier for a buyer agent or for a buyer. Plus, it's called material facts and disclosing things. So you're being very transparent. Ideal photos. First 6, the front of the house should be number 1. 2 through 5 should be the best angles of the house, right? Whether it's the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, the master bedroom, the back deck, backyard. Then you go back to the front of the house and you would do a tour. You do room by room. So if I were to go to Zillow, let's go to Zillow, and I'm just going to click on this property. And this is like a consumer. As soon as they click on it, this is your online flyer. This is what they see. Now, if there's nothing really compelling, it looks like it's, no offense to whoever's listing this is, but it just looks like an older home. It's got a nice front porch, decent yard, but there's really, with us having more homes on the market, right? There's nothing compelling to make me click this or want to go see it. People buy off emotions. They buy off of feelings, right? So let's look up another one. Let's look up this one. So if I pull this property up, now it has inside photos, and one of these may be something that's compelling, right? It may be something that makes a buyer want to click on it in order to see it to get it sold. Everything that is online, as this syndicates out, it's going to send out the same order you put in the MLS. So if you have the front of the house, the backyard, the living room, the bathroom, the kitchen, the bedroom, the laundry room, another backyard, that's how it's going to go out. So be very aware of how these photos are arranged in the MLS and how you sort that, because if it's not laid out that way, you can't change it here. You have to change it in the MLS. But having an online presence, that's a huge part of it. Right there is just simply laying your photos out to where you're actually thinking about the long term, meaning the online flyer and how it's going to be represented on every website. Because I could go to Realtor.com and pull those same up, and it's still going to pull the first couple photos, And the goal is to get someone to click it and someone to like it in order to want to set a time to go see it. And that's what happens when you set those photos that way versus the front, the aerial, another aerial, a garage, side of the garage, the backyard. That doesn't, people want to see the inside. You got to think about it as yourself, right? If you ever think about going to shop for homes and you go online, I know we all look, when you're looking online and all you see is a lot of these exterior photos, you're going to get frustrated and move on to the next one because the next one's all shiny and it looks good. Same thought process. And then you're going to forget about the other one. So some things to do at the property, right? Make sure that you put a sign out front. They are very underrated. I'm telling you, it's huge. You'll get business from a yard sign. People will call you. I've got some friends that called me once and they said, I'd like to see this house. I've been calling the listing agent for 3 weeks. And I was like, first of all, I'm offended. Why didn't you call me? And they were like, well, we didn't want to bother you. We know how busy you are, which is, that's kind of a double-edged sword in real estate. You want people to know you're busy, but you also want to know you're there to help them. They said that they even called the office, and the office said that they were on vacation, but that they would get back to them. So lost opportunity for that listing agent because they could have easily stole those folks from me, only simply because those folks thought that I was too busy to help them. And all the agent had to do was answer the phone call. If you have a house that's way back in the back, get some directional signs and put them up. I say if permitted because if you put them up inside the city limits, they're going to take them down. But if it's something that's tucked away and you're looking for traffic from the road, especially for an open house, use directionals. We talked about flyer boxes. We talked about using the alpha wrap for materials. A trick is leaving information about the property in the house on the counter. Some people put together marketing guides and it has HOA amenities. It has copy of the covenants. It has the survey. It has flood map of the home, right? Put together a flyer. Put together a little booklet and leave it in the house. Sellers will love it. Buyers will pick it up if not happy with their agent and their agency is expiring, or maybe they're just looking at that one house. Maybe they have a house to sell and you impress them. Little things like that, I'm telling you, go a long way. And a lot of this stuff you can print for free. Some other cool little things that you can do. If you have a house that has little features in it and you're having a hard time because it's hard to say that, you can put in the MLS soft close drawers. People miss that. You can put in the MLS, lots of storage, things that are tucked away. People will miss that. They won't understand that. So put little notes throughout the house, put a little note on the cabinet that says soft close doors, give me a try. Or if there is a storage, some homes you open up the closet door and inside there is another door that extends into lots of storage space. Put a note on the outside of the closet door. I have another storage space inside. Something like that, right? So that when buyers are walking around, they see it. Because some agents, they don't walk with their buyers. They don't look around like that. Those little things will help sell the home. Lockbox, always, always, always use central lock. Some people I know like to use coded lock boxes. I don't use combo boxes. The reason is because some agents get those combos and they feel that they can go back and look at that home anytime. It's a vacant house. I have the combo. Let's go look at it again. I don't need to schedule it. I've got the combo. I'm good, right? And then your seller happens to be in town for the weekend and staying there, and then they walk in on them. How awkward would that be? They let you know, but you're not going to tell the agents, hey, by the way, my seller's in town. You may change showing instructions, but that agent isn't going to check that. I know I have broker bay here. Sorry, it's an old slide, but it should say showing time. And I know we have people that are still calling us saying, hey, how do I schedule a showing? I can't find it in broker bay. I'm going to tell you in your MLS, right? Under showing instructions, put use central lock. Use showing time. Use showing time. And then an agent comments, put use showing time and put the phone number to showing time. Because Broker Bay doesn't have a phone number for agents to call. So those that are using Broker Bay, they don't know that you can call showing time and actually schedule a showing. So what they do is they reach out to you. So instead of that, put that information in the MLS under agent comments or under showing information, right? Call showing time to schedule a showing. Boom, and put the phone number. Makes things, saves you phone calls, makes things much easier for you. If the seller wants to approve all the showings, make sure you put those instructions in showing time. You can put it in there so when they are either text or phone or called, but make sure you fill that out. And always, always, always collect feedback from every showing. If somebody shows the house, the agent shows the house today, I'm going to give them till tomorrow. If I don't have feedback tomorrow morning, part of my routine is to look at what homes were shown. Do I have feedback? If I don't, I'm calling or I'm shooting them a text and I'm asking them for feedback. I don't tell them, hey, can you please go in and provide feedback? Nope. I just ask them, hey, how'd the showing go at 123 Main Street? If they text it back to me, I can go in the system and then key in exactly what they said. The goal is that I want to get feedback. And once I get it, I can key it in, but I need to get feedback from my seller. Again, that's another thing that's very underrated. That's going to help you, whether it's drive price to change the price. It'll show the seller that you're working for them because they're going to be like, I don't know what the agent thought. Any of you all work in expireds? Anybody calling expireds? Nobody?
Yes, I've attempted, but I have to keep on. Dominique did suggest yesterday to send some thank you cards.
Yeah. So look, one of the things that when you call expireds is you simply ask them, did you get any showings on your home? And they're going to say, yeah. So then I always follow up with what kind of feedback did you get? Well, what do you mean? Well, what did the agent say? And they're going to probably say, I don't know. Because a lot of agents don't collect feedback. And that just shows your value to them. It shows that you're going to do more, right? Always, always get feedback. You know what the number one complaint that a seller has with their real estate agent when it comes to selling a home? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody knows?
Communication.
Thank you. Communication. The top complaint, they never hear from their agent. I know everybody's shaking their head, right? But I'm telling you, you have a listing that's been in the market for 3 weeks. The seller's a little bit difficult because they want the house sold, but they don't want to listen to you. So you don't want to call them because you don't want them to yell at you. I'm going to show you ways to get ahead of that so you don't have to worry about that so much. They're not going to refer you to anybody. In fact, they're going to tell everybody not to use you. So call them anyway. That irritation that they have, their house is not selling, isn't with you, it's with the house. And so many agents get upset because they feel they take it personally, right? They feel that they're mad at me because the house hasn't sold. No, they're mad at the house hasn't sold. And they're mad because they haven't heard anything from you. They don't feel that you're doing anything to get it sold. And I'm going to show you how to not have to worry about that so much. Not to say that there's not going to be sellers that are still going to be upset. There's always those some. But if you're doing all the things right and keeping them informed, they're going to be more upset that the house isn't sold and not at the work that you're doing. Informed sellers will refer you to other people, right? Their number one expectation is to make sure that they hear from you. Again, first thing, make phone calls. Don't do. I mean, you can text them if that's their preferred method. But when you sit with them at a listing appointment, ask them, what's your preferred method of communication? Text, email, phone call, and then that's how you're going to communicate with them. Some people want it every other day. Some are good weekly. I'm going to tell you to at least do weekly. If you have a lot of activity on the home, you may want to do every other day. If it's a high maintenance seller, you're probably going to want to do every other day. But you need to match the frequency of whatever the seller prefers. If the seller's reaching out to you for an update or anybody's reaching out to you for an update, you are behind the curve. There's a thing called cadence. What I mean by cadence is how frequently you follow up and keep in touch with folks. And the cadence is just a routine. I call them today. I'm going to call them on Monday. I'll call them every Monday, Thursday. That's my cadence. Every Monday and Thursday, I'm going to call. So they know that I'm calling on those days. But if I just call them on Monday this week, and then I don't call them at all the rest of the week or next week, and the following week I call them on a Wednesday, and then the following week I don't maybe call them on Friday, they don't know when to hear from me. They don't know when to expect. And all they think is that, I'm not doing anything. Have a cadence, have a routine. Okay. Once the listing goes live, send the seller the full MLS sheet. It has everything in there that is confidential for them, that they know, and they're the ones that need to verify the data. I would always email them the full MLS sheet as soon as it's live, and I would ask them, please review this, and I would let them know that it was coming, and I would say, please review this. You know the house better than me because you've lived here for a long time, and make sure that I didn't miss anything or anything's wrong. But understand, I don't want you to share it. Don't send it out publicly. I will send you another link tomorrow, right? As soon as it's live, as soon as it starts to, all my marketing starts to pick up, I will send you another link. And that's the one you can share on all your social media and with all your friends. But the first one is just private. It's between us. I want to make sure that I've got all the information right. Make sure you tell them that first. Then send them the Social Bay link. It's their property URL, right? So if you go into Social Bay, and if you go into listings, and you pull up my listings, it'll be here. And there's two ways you can do it. If you come over here, you can go to View Property Website, and it's going to come up with a website just for that agent, just for you, right? That's it. Sellers love that. Absolutely love that. The other way to do it is to go to your website. I like this way a lot better just because it gives the consumer more options. And what I mean by more options, Roberta, I'm going to pick on your listing just because it'll also give you some more online traffic. 308 Pebble Lane. There we go. I want them to come to my website. So if I can copy this URL and send it to them and tell them they can share this on social media. The reason being is at least it has an option for them to go and do something else. If I use this option, there's no home button. There's no other search button besides contact me. I can do these call to actions down here. But most folks, when you tour a website, right, you're looking for this up here. You're looking for something across the top in order to navigate. To each his own. This just seems to have more information than most buyers would like, along with other listings close by. Just a thought. But send them a link that'll, if they click on it or if they fill out information, you're going to capture the buyer link. So when you send it to the seller, and the seller sends that out, right, to their social media, and somebody clicks on it and sees it, and they want more information, that lead's going to go to you. If you send them an MLS link, there is nothing there. Well, there is now because they actually have lead capture now to where if they click, they'll actually get their information. But it doesn't give them an option to look at other properties. All it does is let them fill out a form to contact you. The MLS Hive just changed that. They're trying to create a more of a agent-centric system to where if people inquire or reach out about properties from the marketing or whatever they're doing, the leads go directly to you. Anybody use the MLS competition? Anybody do that? Anybody know what I mean by that? What I mean by that is go in the MLS and simply do a search, right? 308 Pebble Lane is in, I think it is in Hunters Creek. Is that right? No, it's in Bryn Mawr. Yeah, it's in Bryn Mawr. So what I would do is I would come in and I would do a search. Onslow. And then I would do subdivision, Bryn Mawr. And you can do this just for Jacksonville for that price point, right? And the home is priced at, oh, remember 253. I want to do everything in Bryn Mawr to send to them because they're going to be more aware of what's going on with their neighbors. And I'm going to make sure the status has everything that's active, pending, coming soon. And then I'm simply just going to set up a subscription, right? I'm going to do save search. I'm going to label it seller, and put the address, 308 Pebble Lane. And then here for contact, I'll hit new and I'll put the seller's information. And then what it's going to do is it's going to set up to where it's going to email them. You can do every day, every week, however you want to do it. I'll hit save and add subscription. And it's going to set up to where it's going to market to them, right? I'm not going to put it anybody. I'll just do one of my emails. Let's just do that one, save and add. When I hit save and add, now it comes up and it's asking, do I want to do weekly, monthly? ASAP means as soon as it goes on the market. If I do weekly, I can check off and just do every other day, right? This is a subscription for a seller. And then I'm going to change this to simply maybe updated home list. Here are the homes that may be interested in, but I can change that to say, here are some homes that in your community that just came on the market or changed status. So that every day they're going to get an email with properties that came on the market so that they can see what's going on with the homes around them. Now that can be good and that can be bad. If they go under contract, that's fine. At least, right, they see that other homes are selling for less. They need to see that. Then they're going to call you and they're going to say, why is my house not selling? And hopefully you're watching a hot sheet or you're copying yourself on these emails so you can see that too. So that's one way to keep up with your seller is setting them up on a simple MLS competition report. You can also set them up on a MLS activity report. What that looks like, yep, Roberta, I'm going to pick on you again. You're my guinea pig today. If I can spell right. Pebble. Boom. So when you pull the listing up, if you click on this drop down, it'll come over here to listing activity. Everybody see that? Drop down listing activity. If I click on that, it pulls this cool little report up that shows all the different activity. It shows how many times it's been shared in the last 90 days, how many have contacted the agent, any open house feedback, but it basically affects MLS, different areas where it's getting activity. Sellers like to see that. Then it also shows other properties that they're looking at. And if they viewed this, they've also viewed these. If I click down here on auto emails, I can then add that contact. And then it says weekly, what day of the week, and CC me, and hit save. Now, every week, the seller is going to get another report. So that as homes hit the market, I may change that to once a week, or that may be as soon as, homes come on the market, meaning the MLS report. The one as far as the first one I just showed you for the competition, that I'll set up to where as soon as they come on the market, have a status change, it goes to the seller. Because I want them to be looking at stuff for me. I don't want them to be searching around online. So I'll have it directly for me. And then I'll have this go out maybe every Monday, right? Because I only have weekly and monthly. I'm going to do every Monday. And then I'll hit save. So now they're getting an activity report from the MLS just to see what kind of MLS activity. It looks like one buyer saved it. That's pretty good. Somebody's looking at it. So that's that report for the seller. Another one you can set them up on is the CBA list track report. Now this is a really cool report because if you come into Coldwell Banker, go to Seacoast Tools, and you come down here to CB Desk, right? It'll take you to here. Once you log in, when you're here, you are looking for list track. When you click on list track, it's going to pull up this platform. It's giving me stats for the office, but if I come over here and you click on my listings, it'll show up here, right? It'll pull up all your listings here. I don't have any, but I did off market. I have an old one. And if I click on this where it says seller report, it'll send the seller this cool report. It'll have websites where they viewed the property. Obviously, this hasn't been marketed for a while. If it would list all the different websites it came from, and then all the different cities where everybody's looking at this property at. And I can click on options. That's not it. I'm sorry. If it was an active listing, I could set up to where the seller gets this on a regular basis. And it would be, there would be a link here that I could, a little tab here that I could click on to set them up. Since it's not an active listing, it's not going to let me do that. But then they get that report, and I can set them to get that bi-weekly, right? I can set them to get that monthly, and I want to offset that report with the one with the MLS, so that they get the one on the MLS one day, and then this report they get in like maybe Wednesday during the week. So now they're getting a couple reports from me like a few times a week. So do you think that I'm keeping in touch with the seller? Do you think they're going to get upset with me? Does it give me options to be able to reach out and talk to them? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can go to Zillow. List Hub used to be able to go into to control that. This is a much better platform. It's much more eye-appealing than going into List Hub. If you want to check out List Hub, it's also here. You go to List Hub from CB Desk, and it'll pull up your properties, and you can set up a same type of report for those properties. I don't have any listings obviously in here. I would come up to inventory, and then if I had anything, it would list it, and then I could click on it to set up reporting for them to see basically the same report I just showed you on the list track. And Zillow, if you log into your profile and you click on your listing, right, there's a section that you can go in and put in to send the seller reports from Zillow. People love Zillow. They want to see it. I know it's not our fan, but at least they get it from you, and they don't go looking for it on their own. That's the whole point, is they want to get all the data from you, and you can set that up bi-weekly. So, this one's going up. The MLS competition goes out every week. This goes out every other week. This goes out every other week. It's offset with this report. And then this one I can send out weekly or bi-weekly on different days. So now they're getting, they're getting 3 reports a week, 2 to 3 reports a week from me on online activity. Do you think they're going to see that their home's being marketed? Absolutely, they are. Absolutely. This is how you prevent any issues with sellers getting upset with you about why aren't you doing anything to market my home? So look, when it comes to public marketing and syndication to these websites, you have to make sure that your cell phone and your email that's in the MLS matches all these websites. So if you have a different email than you have on these, when you log into these profiles, your listings are probably not showing up on all these websites, which means all your marketing and everything, when your photo layout and everything else, it's still going out there, but you're not getting the credit for it. Some websites, I think homes.com, if they inquire about it, the lead goes to you, right? Other websites like Zillow, they sell it to somebody else, unless you're doing the Zillow showcase, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's how listings attach to your profile, and you will get leads that way, but you have to make sure that they are the same. Some social media posts, right? You can post directly from Social Bay. We looked at that a minute ago. And the cool thing with Social Bay, let me find, I hope I didn't close it. Nope, here, right? I could create a post with this and schedule a listing post. It's going to pull up. It's branded to me. This is showing Diane because it's pulling up everybody's property. But let's just say discard and exit. Go here. Well, then all my social media that I have connected to here, it's going to market it too. But I could do this property, which I don't know why I did it that way. Actions, schedule a post, and then it's branded to me. So that anybody that clicks on that, right, is going to come back to my CRM, which is Client Bay, and I get to capture that lead. It's just another way to market your property, is posting from Social Bay. So what that does is that keeps me from having to post it on Facebook, which will also post it on Instagram because they're connected. But you have to make sure that you hit that when you post it. If I were to do it manually, and then it would post it on, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, all those other websites. But instead of me doing it manually, it automatically does it. Make sure you use your Seacoast website. It's your first initial last name .seacoastrealty.com. Remember, if you send out any links to anybody to see that property, use that. Go to that, pull up your property, email it that way. Don't send people MLS links. When you put it on your business page, right? Social Bay, when they put marketing out, it's going to market to your business page. Go to your personal page, right? And share it from your personal page. It gives you more exposure. And more people will go to your business page. They'll subscribe because you're posting a bunch of other stuff about real estate. And this way you don't kind of mix the two. Some people mix them, some people don't. I'm just saying that it's just another way to market listings. And again, never share the MLS property link publicly. And it's mainly because there's no lead capture. There's no other options for them to do anything besides that. But besides look at the property. There's lots of websites that people can find your listing. It's Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. I know that has Broker Bay. Broker Bay doesn't really do much marketing. That should say Social Bay. I mean, not. It should say Social Bay, but it's not Social Bay. Help me here. Our showing time is what it should say. Homes.com, military.com, Yahoo, Google, plus hundreds of others. Online systems, when they see your property, even on showing time, it gives more validity with your name and information to where if somebody's searching for a home in Jacksonville, it's going to help push you to the top. All these things help build validity to your online presence. So that's why it's so important to make sure that your phone and email are the same as when you log in these websites. Anybody have any questions on that? You're all very quiet today. Very quiet. Ready for the weekend. So here's a basic marketing schedule, right? I'm going to jump to the bottom because one of the first things you need to ask is this a good candidate for Zillow Showcase? Because if it is, you need to set it up there from the beginning. Remember, the Zillow Showcase is a heck of a lot cheaper than it would be through It's a heck of a lot cheaper through Seacoast than it would be if you go and get it on your own. If you were to buy it on your own, it's like $400 per month. If you use it through Seacoast, it's only $250, and that's one time. It's a one-time fee for the life of the listing, not every month. And there's a lot of marketing that it does as far as brands to you and everything else. I tried to get a sample for that. I just ran out of time getting prep work. But if you needed more information on that, I'll have who to contact here in a little bit. So from day one, right, get the sign out, get the lockbox out, get flyers out, get your directionals out, make sure everything in the MLS notes and all that's up to date. Set things up in showing time for access on how to get into home. And here it says, right, all automated seller reports. You won't be able to do that until about 24 hours. I know that says day one, but it's going to take about 24 hours for it to get out to all the sites. So the first thing you're going to send out is basically just going to be the MLS sheet to the seller. Then you'll send them the Social Bay link or link to your website with a property for the seller to be able to market it out to other people. It says claim listing on Zillow and Realtor.com. That means go there and make sure your property is showing up under you. So if you go to Zillow and you scroll down, you will see here listed by. If that doesn't say you, right, then you need to reach out to IT so they can help you fix that. They will figure out what's going on and why it's not syndicating out to you. Post it on Social Bay. Share it to your personal page. If you have any buyers, right, in your pipeline looking for that property, share it to them. I would record a quick little video, put that on social media. And when you record the video, I wouldn't mention price. Those of you that went to Patrick O'Connor's class the other day or seminar about social media and using AI, he talked a lot about like YouTube videos and more doing long videos instead of short videos. But one of the key things that I thought was really cool that he does is he doesn't give a specific price. He'll say, we're getting ready to walk through this home. It's over here in Bryn Mawr. This is what you can get for the mid 200s. And let's take a look around. So that if you make a price change, now you don't have to go back and edit a video or change the video or change any marketing because you didn't specifically say a price. So remember that when you're recording videos, if you say a specific price and you go and change the price, you're going to go back and edit that or change that because that's viral. Set up list reports with Alpha Lender, right? If you have a lender partner with Alpha, they have a marketing system called list reports. It creates a lot of cool marketing material. It's just another venue, another way that's free. We haven't talked about anything that costs anything except for Showcase. And list reports is free. It's just another way to help get your property out in front of people. And then if you want to use Zillow Showcase, we'll talk more about that in a minute. After about, it's going to take you a couple of days to get all this up and going, to start getting reports out, start getting data back, following up on showings, because you should, first 10 days is the most active that a property is going to get when it goes in the MLS. Typically, there are some that sit on the market for 40 days and do a price change, and it's like all of a sudden everybody wants to see it. But typically the first 10 days is when you get a lot of activity. Then you're going to review progress, right? You're going to look at showings. You want to look at feedback. You want to look at online views. This is where you start tweaking your marketing. You want to make sure you talk with the seller about the activity from the reports that you've gotten. If you make any changes to the property, right? Change a couple photos around. Everybody feels that you got to just change price. But if you change a couple photos around, it will go back. It will change things in the algorithms. It'll also change people that may have seen it or may not have seen it. It may get them to look at it again. Another technique is to do reverse prospecting in the MLS. Okay, that's really easy to do. I'm going to come in the MLS. I'm going to come up here to the menu. And then I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to reverse prospecting. If I can figure out, remember where it's at. I want to say it's over here under contacts. There it is. And I'm going to click reverse prospecting. I'm going to look for Pebble. Well, I'm just going to click one. It's not going to matter. I'll click that one. And it's only going to list your properties, right? It's not going to list everybody's. It's just going to list yours. I'm going to hit run reverse prospecting. So what the MLS is doing now, what this system does, is it's looking for anybody that an agent has set up with a save search. Remember, we did the save search for the seller, right? For the properties that are that come up in the MLS that are in that same community. Well, if you have a buyer and you do a search in the MLS, it's going to come up with, and you do a search in the MLS and you save that for that buyer. The buyer's looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath in Jacksonville or in Onslow Bay or in Rock Creek, and you save that search. What the MLS is doing is it's going through and it's looking at all the searches that are saved with the criteria meeting this property. And then it's printing a list of all the agents that have a buyer profile set that meets this property. So I want to email all these people. I'm going to simply click here. So it selects them all. It's not done running because when it's done running, it'll say there, dismissed, reverse prospecting complete. So I'm going to click. So I select them all. And then I'm going to come down here and hit email selected. And then it comes up and it just simply says reverse prospecting feature in MLS, right? Indicates the following listing may meet the needs of your contacts listed below, and it's going to list their contacts. Now I'm going to come up here and I can change all this, right? Now offering a $3,000 buyer, use as you choose, or whatever it may be. And then I'm going to change the subject line to you've got a lead, because an agent isn't going to open it if they see that as a subject line. But if you put something like you've got a lead, do you think they're going to open it? You're damn right they're going to open it. So think about that when you're marketing things. Okay? Just another way to get it out in front of agents so you can get more showings on the property. Works. I'm telling you folks, it works. You want to do that, You don't want to do that every week because people are going to see all the emails from you and they're going to be like, quit sending me shit, right? But if you do a price change, if you offer incentives, it's been a week or two. Like as soon as it's gone on the market, you want to do it. And maybe a couple weeks later, you want to do it again. But change photos so that when they open it up, it looks like it's a different property. Always, always, always be moving things around. You could also download all the agents in the MLS and send them something in like Prospect Square, MailChimp, something like that, and send them all a flyer. You can go in the MLS, download all the agents, all their email addresses, upload it into this MailChimp, and then create a flyer and mail it out to them. If you have time to do all that, do that. Weeks 2 and 3, review progress again. Maybe do an open house. It doesn't mean you can't do an open house any other time, right? But this is going to show the seller that you're still working to market their home. They still a priority. Hey, let's do an open house. When I did open houses, I would do them Sunday from 12 to 2. And that's because that's when people are coming home from church. They're more likely to be out driving around, and they're more likely to stop because they're usually not in such a hurry, besides getting home with the kids or getting home to eat lunch. Or have another Seacoast agent. Look, if you can't do an open house, maybe a Seacoast agent can do an open house. We see a ton of those come through. There's another way to do marketing for your property is consider a listing concierge service. You can find that at Seacoast Tools. If you come to Seacoast Tools and you scroll all the way down, right here, listing concierge, it has information. It sends out postcards, just listed, just sold. It creates marketing banners. It does a lot of stuff for you, but it's like 200, 250 bucks. There's a lot of ways on here to market your listings also. I'm not covering all that. We don't have time to get in every one of those tools. So every week you want to evaluate your progress. You want to look at showings and feedback, right? Reviewing the feedback. Are there any consistent issues? Meaning the house does not smell good. Okay, seller, you got to clean your house. You got to clean it. They don't like the paint in the house. All right, seller, we talked about that. Are you ready to paint? It's priced too high. Okay, seller, are we looking to make a price change now? Which I probably already had a conversation with them when we listed a house. Right? Check, not broker bay, showing time. There's a showing report in there, and you can see on that showing report how many homes are being viewed versus your home. It'll tell you in this price point and this date range, there were 5 properties that were viewed. If you got 3 of those views, right? If there were 5 views that week and you got 3 of them, you're doing really good. But if there are five homes that were viewed in that price point, they had 5 viewings in that price point for that timeline, and you didn't get any, you need to go in the MLS and do a search for those properties, right? Simply go in, look in the same demographic, Jacksonville, same price point, 240 to 250, whatever the house might be in, and see what the competition is because they're getting more activity than you. Maybe do another market analysis. See if there's any new pendings or any other competition. Look at price, condition, location. Talk to the lender partner for your approvals. Find out, get an update if there's any update in interest rates. To update your flyers. Like talk to the seller about timeline and market conditions. Look at the online activity. Review all the MLS, List Track, List Hub, Social Bay reports. In Social Bay, there is a report, analytics. For everything you post, if you come over here to analytics, it's going to pull up all the report, right, for the properties. It's going to tell you here's the analytics. Simply come into Social Bay, go down to analytics, and you can pull up the property you listed and see all the data. Check you online, check your Zillow, homes.com, realtor.com. Make sure they are being shown there. Sometimes the syndication feed broke or doesn't work. I want to make sure it's still showing up. Look at the number of views there, number of saves. Price change signals, start the conversation at listing, plant that seed early. Look, I know you said I need to price it at 340, but I want to start at 370. Okay. I understand that you're going to take longer to sell. You're going to make less. Yep, covered all that. I still want to do it. Okay. All right. A few weeks later, look, we haven't had any showings. Your price is too high. We need to come down or you're going to be a lot longer. Talk to them about timeline. I always rearrange photos before I make a price change in the MLS. So if I'm going to make a price change, I'll go in the MLS and I'll change the front photo, maybe the second photo. I'll put a different one in there, and so that it looks different when it comes up. And then I'll make the price change, because a price change is going to syndicate out a lot faster. And when it syndicates out, any other updates, it's going to pull with it versus just a photo change. So I want to make the photo change first before the price change. If I make a price change, it's going to syndicate out, and then I make a photo change, that may not go out until a little bit later. Do reverse prospecting after a price change, right? Even if you do a $100 price change, it's going to move it to the top. It's going to put the listing back on the top of search engines because there's been a price adjustment, and it'll come up showing price change. So if the seller doesn't want to do a lot of changes in price, you can at least maybe try to do that. Vacant property, always go by and check on your vacant properties. I would do them at least every other week. You might want to do it every week if the flyer box keeps getting empty. Is the sign still standing? Look, even if it's an occupied home, go by and check on it. If your sign falls down and the seller sees it, obviously because they're living there and it's been that way for 2 months, do they think that you've been paying attention to their property? No, they don't. Go by and check on that stuff. Is the seller keeping the yard mowed? Is the house tidy? If you're getting a lot of showings and it's vacant, go back and check on it. Make sure the doors and windows have been locked. The house is secure. Okay. If we've had a lot of rain, check for roof leaks. Make sure there's no toilet running. Maybe somebody that stopped to look at the home flushed the toilet and it's running. Okay. Make sure there's nothing leaking in the house. No standing water. Check the thermostats. Always set it at 75 in the summer, 68 in the winter. Nobody wants to walk into a sweltering hot house or a sticky house when it's hot outside, right? So I'm not telling you to put it at 72, but in our area with the humidity, you need to be at least 75. An old trick to help a house that may be vacant is take dryer sheets and put it in the return vents. So right at the filter, if you put a dryer sheet there instead of putting air fresheners all through the house, put a dryer sheet there, because then it'll circulate as the air conditioner comes on and it'll freshen the whole home instead of just one room with an air freshener. An old trick. I do it at my own house. Every time I change it, or my rentals, my Airbnbs, when I change the filter, I put a dryer sheet in. So when they walk in, it smells like, Cottonelle or whatever it is. If you have a house that's vacant, take and put some Pine Sol in the drains. Just drop a little bit, little dab will do you in all the drains. Why do you think you need to do that? Anybody? Anybody know why to do that? Anybody would guess? Damn. No guesses either.
So sewer gnats at bay is what I'm guessing.
Do
Plus,
what?
it keeps the sewer gnats at bay, and it also adds to the smell of making the home smell clean.
Yeah. You're very right. You're correct about the sewer gnats. So what happens is, in your drain, you have a pipe that curves and holds water, and that keeps the smell from the sewer from just kind of coming up the drain pipes. And that water, right, it starts to fester, and then it starts to create bugs, and you'll have little gnats that start flying out. So when people walk in the home and there's all these little gnats, and you're like, where the hell these come from? They're in the sink. There's no dirty dishes. Well, it's because that sink set for a while and the water's nasty. If you put some Pine Sol in the drains, it's going to keep that from happening. That it'll have a strong smell at first. That strong smell will go away, but it'll keep out the bugs. If they have a vacant house, right, I would turn the water heater off at the breaker, or have the seller turn the water heater off at the breaker. It's going to help with their electric bill, but there's no need for that thing to be heating up, cooling down, heating up, cooling down. When I go out and check on the property, I'm going to turn on and off different lights. So when I leave today, I may leave the light on in the foyer when I leave for the day. When I come back next week, I might leave the one on in the kitchen or in a bedroom, and it's going to make people think that someone's there or somebody's been coming by. People watch homes right? And if it's a vacant home, there are thieves out there that'll go by and steal the appliances in the middle of the day. And if you haven't had that happen, when you do have that happen, it's a very hard conversation to have with your seller because the police can't do anything. They're not going to pull fingerprints. It's not NCIS and none of that stuff. They're just going to come out and file a report. And they're going to ask if you have model and serial numbers, if the seller has serial numbers, and most of them don't. So make sure that if you rotate the lights, then so anybody that may be watching the house, it looks like somebody's been coming by and they're going to be less likely to go by there. Another thing I don't do is in the MLS, I don't put home is vacant, go show anytime or anything like that in the public comments or showing comments. Because there are people that are watching that and they want to steal appliances so they can sell them and make some money. And they'll do it right in the middle of the day. And the neighbors won't think anything of it because who would be coming in, pulling appliances out and stealing them in the middle of the day? I've had it happen, folks. I've had it happen. Have you ever been to a house and you showed a house and it's full of cobwebs and there's trash all over the front area from just sediment, yard mowing, things like that? Take a broom, take a blower, blow that shit out, wipe the cobwebs off with a broom. The last thing you want is the buyer to come pull up that property and there's cobwebs everywhere because they're not going to want to go in. Are there any odors in the house? Right? If there are, go back to the dryer sheet, put out some air fresheners or something. If you do a price change on a property, start the conversation at the listing, right? Don't wait till a couple weeks in the listing and the seller's like, what do we do? What do we do? And you're like, change price. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, what do we do? What do we do? Change price. You should be the one ahead of that. They're hiring you as a professional to guide them through that. Have those conversations. If you want to sell fast, we need to price it down here. If you're okay with waiting, then we'll price it right in the middle of what our market says. If you price it above that, we're going to be in a market a lot longer, and we're probably going to sell for here, which is lower than what we thought, what I'm planning for you to sell at. Have that conversation first. And again, rearrange photos before making a price change. Again, I would normally adjust the photos the day beforehand and then do the price change. The price change is going to make it shoot back to the top on all the websites. Not all websites will push it back to the top just because of a photo change. Enter the price change in the MLS. Make sure you have the form signed. Send out reverse prospecting again in the MLS when you do that. Repost on social media. Change the public remarks. That's another trick, is to change the MLS public remarks. Update them, move them around, say the same thing in a different way. And again, even $100 pushes it back up to the top of the list whenever it comes to search results or search engines. It pushes it back to the top. There are some options to pay because, look, everything we've talked about is free. It's just your time. As you can see, there's a ton of ways, and there are more. I've got other ways to market a listing besides that. Those are a lot of good basic ways. But if you want to pay, you can use Listing Concierge Services, $249. It sends out 50 listings or just listed, 100 just sold postcards. It does the single property website. It'll create a flyer. It'll email the flyer. You have to upload all the email addresses. It'll do a video slideshow, social and web boosts. It'll do all that. You can do circle prospecting, which means you call IT. They will give you a list of all the neighbors in that area. And then you can either mail something to them or you could call them and talk to them about the property. You can do an ad on Social Bay, right? So when you post on Social Bay, if I was going to post a listing, it gives me an option to boost or to market the listing. So if I was going to do this one, nope, let me go back. If I was going to post this, schedule a post, I'm okay with that. I'll do all networks. I know that. Continue. Here, if I do let's advertise, that's where I could pay to boost it, right? And if I put in Jacksonville, I'll just do 25-mile radius of the property. Here, it's asking me, do I want to do Facebook, Instagram, and all the web ad, which means Google AdWords? Or do I just want to do social media or just web? I'd always say do bundle. How big do you want the ad to be? I just want a medium, and then I can put in whatever my ad spend needs to be. Easy way. It's a Facebook boost on steroids. Great way to do it, and you can control the budget that you want to put in. There are agents that are doing that. They're getting buyer leads, and it's working really, really well for them. You could do Zillow Showcase, right? Companies negotiated a rate. We talked about that. You don't ask IT. You talk to Michael Medina. Michael Medina would be the one that you could reach out to for more details on Zillow Showcase. But again, it's only $250 for the life of the listing. Again, keep the listing fresh. Rotate, rearrange the photos, update the remarks, repost to social media. It says bi-weekly. I don't know that I flood it that much. I would do it, probably once a week or every other week because I want to keep it in front of people. I'd send out reverse prospecting, do open houses, keep in touch with your seller. That's the main thing. And if you keep in touch with your sellers, then you can start asking them for referrals. Right? You keep up with your sellers, they love what you're doing. Do you think they're talking to other people that are moving? Absolutely. Do you think they know other people that are moving? Absolutely. It's a great way to get referrals. And they see everything you're doing for marketing because they're getting all the reports. And they have other friends that are selling and they're not getting all that. So do you think they're going to tell them about you? Absolutely. Right? And the cool thing is all the marketing you're doing and everything here, it all goes, it's more leads for your pipeline. Helps you grow your business. Key reminders, professional photos. It's non-negotiable, folks. It's $200 to $500 depending on the house, depending on the photographer, or if you want drones and everything else. Always, always, always get professional photos. They adjust to where it's called low-level lighting, so that when you look at a room, it doesn't look like there's a shadow. That's what low-level lighting is. Always, always, always use it. Arrange photos online like you would put in a flyer. If you're going to design a flyer, put your photos in the MLS just like it would be a flyer. Always use central lock so you can track who's coming in and out of the house. You don't want something to go missing. You don't want to have any issues with the door being left open. You want to know who did that, and Lockbox will track that. Always, 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 always get feedback from showings, and always make sure you can get it to the seller. Never share an MLS link publicly. Keep the seller informed all the time. They're your referral engine. That's your business. And review and adjust things every week, right? Every week you want to adjust your marketing. All right. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? That was a lot for an hour. Anybody? Nobody?
Getting slides?